they found him and they hung him. So, but it just goes to show you got to be careful where you drink, you know,
Yeah.
or where you murder, depending
or,
on the
or who you drink with.
or
I,
who you drink with. Yeah.
I have to tell you, Barbara, this fascination you're having with this death thing and murder thing, I think I'm going to be really careful not to cross you. And Lee, if anybody goes missing at the
Watch for
fair,
the scissors. If she brings
yeah,
the scissors out, we're in
we
trouble.
want to check
Now be
her
careful of
alibi
those scissors.
carefully.
Fine. But you know,
Yeah.
your Bluebeard works really well with the theme of the book fair this year, which is Discover Your Treasure. And
Oh,
our advertising material features a treasure chest full of books. So
oh,
it works out really
how
well.
wonderful.
Well, it's a pirate treasure
A
chest.
pirate treasure chest, yes.
There you go.
I understand there may be roaming pirates during the weekend.
Oh, well, I may have to put this one then in my display case.
You may need to. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rare Book Cafe, Coffee Break Edition. I'm Linn with the Ridge Books in Calhoun, Georgia, joined today by my co-host, Richard Mori of Mori Books.
Hello, Lee. How are you? I think I should have a coffee cup here, but the only thing I can find is this rose that I got this week.
It's held up well since last week.
If our budget was a little better, I think I'd have a coffee cup, don't you?
Well, I have one. Perhaps you should appeal to the producer about a coffee cup. You do. And joining us today, again, our frequent guest, Barbara Loe of Cardtique in Osprey, Florida. And she has some new and unusual things to show us today, leading up to all of our participation coming up soon in St. Petersburg.
I think it is. Isn't it called the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair?
I believe it is.
And I bet you can even find it on the web. On the web, is it there?
I suspect you could find a lot about it online if you look. And where is it going to be?
I think it's this little small community, not very big. Matter of fact, hardly anybody ever goes there anymore. St. Petersburg, Florida.
Which has some great Cuban sandwiches. I can attest to that.
Well, that and a few other things I might add. For the last 25 years, I've been sampling the delicious food of St. Petersburg, and I haven't found a bad spot yet.
No, I haven't either. And it's in a quaint little building.
I bet Barbara knows where it is.
Barbara probably knows what it is.
That's the Coliseum in St. Petersburg.
My favorite. I love that building. I haven't shared this, but that is the great dance hall that I actually finally got to celebrate a New Year's Eve there with a big band on that floor. It was quite a delightful night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a beautiful facility. I mean, of all the places I do fairs, that to me is the nicest facility. It is. It is. Yeah, it's a wonderful facility, and oh my gosh, they do it up so well. I love this fair, and I get to sleep in my own bed. So,
oh my God!
Well, I don't, but we have rented. My son and I have rented an Airbnb this year, and so we'll have a little bit of room to spread out if we have any time. Yeah.
So we got a party at your place this year?
We could have a party at my place. I don't think there was anything in the rental agreement that said we couldn't party.
Okay, we should just keep it under 50 people, maybe.
Yeah, right. So, Barbara, I hear you have some new and exciting things to show us. Maybe a little different from your usual Victorian Valentines and the like.
Yeah, this is a little different this time. So, one of the things that I find interesting is murder and mayhem. And so I have a few pieces that are either broadsides or in the dime novel type category. And most of these, I think, are English. And if you ever watch any of the English shows on PBS, you'd think there's no population at all because people get murdered there on a very regular basis. And but these are all true stories. So I'm going to start with this one, and it is Palmer the Rugley Poisoner, and this is like a dime novel type format. It's 34 pages, and it goes through and it tells the story. And this is a true story of this guy, and he almost got away with it, but they caught him. He was poisoning people, and these are just they're old and they're in rough condition because they are ephemeral and everything, but they're great little stories about these terrible murders. Here's one I'm sure that we would all recognize, the story of Bluebeard and his many wives. And again, it's talking about the pirate life. And now this one actually has an illustration in it.
Oh, wow. Color illustration. Look at that.
Yeah, really. So it's they're just interesting stories, and I don't know why I like them, but I'm fascinated by these murder stories and everything. This one is The Pathetic Story of the Tragic Legend of Maud's Elm, and again, it's another murder story, and so they're in these different formats. This is not meant to be high literature. These were meant to, in the dime novel type category. Here's one that, let's get graphic. This is a broadsheet, and it's The Last Moments in Confession of William Seward. And he was a 57-year-old tailor who murdered his wife and by stabbing her to death with a pair of scissors. They had a quarrel over money, and he committed the crime in a rage, then set about dismembering the body, which he successfully disposed of. And so here's the story. And what finally ended up happening is he got drunk one day in a pub or a bar. I guess this was in this one, I believe. Oh no, this was in London as well. He got drunk in a pub, and he told somebody the gruesome details of what he did. And well, they found him and they hung him. So, but it just goes to show you got to be careful where you drink, yeah. or where you murder, depending on the
or who you drink with.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Barbara, this fascination you're having with this death thing and murder thing, I think I'm going to be really careful not to cross you. And Lee, if anybody goes missing at the
watch
fair,
for the scissors. If she brings,
we want to check her alibi carefully.
Right. But your Bluebeard works really well with the theme of the book fair this year, which is Discover Your Treasure.
Oh,
our advertising material features a treasure chest full of books. So it's out really well.
Well, it's a pirate treasure chest.
A pirate treasure chest, yes.
There you go.
I understand there may be roaming pirates during the weekend.
Oh, well, I may have to put this one then in my display case.
You may need to.
Let's
up the price on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun to run into these. You just they're not super high end things. But they are fun. and you get these little stories, but it is amazing the fascination that Victorian England had with murder and mayhem. And there's a famous story about and I can't think of the author's name right now, and I read his books all the time. But
Conan Doyle?
No. This was a guy that murdered his wife, and his girlfriend dressed up like a boy, and they got on a ship and they were sailing for the US, and the police found the body in the basement of the home. And it was the first time that Marconi had the transatlantic telegraph, right? Yeah. And they were able to telegraph the captain of the ship, and when they got to New York, they arrested him.
Oh, wow.
And there's a book, and it just kills me that I can't remember the name of it right now. It's by the author of The Devil in the White City. See, we all know him too.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah. He's the one that wrote the book, and I'm so embarrassed I'm blanking on his name, but there was an absolute fascination with murder in that era. I don't know if it was because it was rare. If you watch PBS, you'd think it was common. But
I don't think it was as rare as we would like to think. There was a lot of rogue activity, I guess I would call it, in those days.
Eric Larson.
Yeah.
Eric Larson. Thank you. Yes, because he's done so many books, and what I love about him as an author is that he always tells. So here, whoever sells Eric Larson books, just say thank you. But what he does is he tells these two parallel stories that intersect. Right. And all his books do that. The Devil in the White City does it, and Isaac Storm is about the hurricane down in Texas. But they always go down these two parallel paths, and they cross and they weave in and out. And it's fascinating the way he writes these books. And I remember seeing an interview with him, and he was talking about how his wife gets very frustrated as he gets to the end because he's got all the different pieces of the story on 3x5 cards, and he lays them out in like a double helix throughout the house. And so, they go from the bedroom down the hall into the kitchen, out in the living area. And it's like she doesn't dare walk anywhere because he's got the book laid out there. And but I love him as an author. His work is fascinating. And so anyway, wish I had one of his books close at hand.
Well, I'm going to guess I know where you could find one of those books in a few weeks.
Do you think they might have one at the fair?
Someone might.
See, I don't know. I mean, there's only going to be 85 booksellers, and each bookseller brings about 300 to 600 books.
Right.
There's not that many books, and probably won't show up at all.
Yeah.
Well, when the years that we've done the scavenger hunt, and no one had a copy of anything by Zora Neale Hurston. No one could find anything by her. So you never know.
Yeah.
I suspect Eric Larson there might be a few more books out there, though.
Might be. Maybe I'll have to dig up some of mine and bring them. But no, it's just, I love this fair. It is just, it's fun. It's so enjoyable. There's entertainment. There's
shrimp.
There's shrimp.
Well, we should qualify that. That's an evening activity.
Well, I know, but there's still shrimp. We have a message from Alan that said, "Dead Wake." Is that the book about the murderer on the ship?
It might be. I forget the name, but
okay.
It might.
Well, that's
it is Eric Larson. You're right about
that's
that.
What Alan says is Dead Wake.
Yeah. And but because, and it goes through on the other side, you know, not the murder, all about how Marconi developed the transatlantic cable and
yeah, Larson does a lot of research for these
oh,
books.
he does a lot of research
much.
for all his books. Yeah, and you know, I always enjoy him because you're learning some history as well as getting a good story.
Right.
So anyway,
okay. Well, we will hope we have no murderers at the book fair.
That's right, no murderers.
No,
but murder stories.
But we'll maybe keep scissors handy just in case we need them for defensive purposes. And thank you so much for being with us again, Barbara. We'll look forward
and we'll see you in St. Petersburg on March 1st and 2nd.
That's right.
Always a treat. We'll look forward to seeing you on the road as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.